Welcome to episode 22 of Smooth Traffic. This is a bit of a special episode because it's one of only two Smooth Traffic episodes that is spelt the same backwards as it is forwards. The other one, of course, being episode 11. So we've got a couple of other things to talk about in this episode. We've got the Paris Motor Show. We've got some Forza Horizon 6 impressions because we've been playing a bit of that. We've also been at the SMMT Test Day South, and I've been to Snowdonia to drive a couple of Fiats. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Smoothies, which, if you've been following us on social media, is our awards ceremony, basically. And we've been giving out a few awards, haven't we, King?
We have indeed. We've given out all of our awards now.
Every single one.
Every single one of them. Now, you know, they've been met with general positivity from, the people that have received them.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
In the last episode, if you listened, you'll know that we started off with the award for the most recoveries of a Smooth Traffic member.
Yes, we did.
Which went to the AA.
Well done, the AA.
And they were obviously very happy with that. I believe they liked it on Twitter.
Yeah.
And they also had some kind words to say to John when he thanked them personally.
They did.
So then we moved on to award the best motorway service station with a butcher.
Yep.
Which obviously went to Gloucester Services. No surprises there.
It's like heaven on earth.
They also responded on Twitter and were very happy. And whoever controls their Twitter account even took the time to listen to the episode where John just went gushing on about how much he loves it.
I love them.
Thank you very much, Gloucester Services, for taking the time out of your day to at least listen to a couple of minutes of Smooth Traffic. We also gave the award for the worst motorway service station based in the southeast of England. Unsurprisingly, that went to Folkestone Services following the One Tank de Frank fecal explosion, shall we say.
I would call it the finest poo monument in the south of England, though. So, you know.
That's quite a compliment. We couldn't find the Twitter handle for Folkestone Services, so as far as I'm aware, they don't know that they've won that award. But if anyone does have some form of contact, please let them know. Maybe they'd want our award trophy when we eventually get it.
And get them to wash their hands before they call us, please.
As John said in the last episode, they'll get it within 12 months if they want it. And then finally, we awarded the award for the best wooden car, excluding concept cars, which was a bit of a misnomer because the winner was Julia, which was created by Sabo Peter, and that we saw at Frankfurt last year. Originally, that was described as a concept car, but obviously because you can physically go and buy it from him, I figure that counts. You know, we just didn't want to give it to the Satsuma.
Yeah, and it's an amazing car because it's incredible that he's managed to spend so long building a car made out of wood and then combined it with possibly the worst Ford parts you can buy to make something truly special.
And finally, we gave the smoothie for the best smoothies, which of course went to Innocent Smoothies for their super smoothie Energize that brought me back from the brink of oblivion after the One Tank de Frank challenge. And I'd just like to thank Innocent again for making something that can, well, basically work as a hangover cure. And I have used it again since. You know, on those odd occasions where I have one sherry too many.
Yes. That was a remarkable trip in terms of drinking. Because, obviously, we'd gone out to celebrate, obviously, arriving in Frankfurt successfully and having gone to our first show. And very quickly we realised that German wheat beer is perhaps a little bit more potent than we gave it credit for, and we met some very lovely locals and non-locals, as a matter of fact, and a late night ensued, and obviously the next day we had to leave at some point around the midday, I think, to get back to the UK, and obviously by that point King was, well, he was in an absolute state, to be quite honest.
Well, I wasn't in a state, John, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but I wasn't in any fit state to be moving.
No, no.
So fortunately you were in better state than myself.
Yeah, I was in relatively good shape.
I shouldn't have had that last beer. Our new friend, American Ben, that we met.
Better than our Ben.
That's not to compare him to our Ben. He was called Ben, and he was from America. You know, he said, do you want one more? And foolishly I said yes. So there we go.
But thankfully the guys from Innocent had you covered. Because, you know,
they did.
The next morning they had this blend of fruit and other things that, you know, managed to just bring you back to the world of the living. While I potted us through German motorways.
great respect for Innocent, and I am a big fan of that drink.
Innocent until proven ill. Tea.
Terrible. So, yes, well done to all the winners of the inaugural Smoothies. Obviously, if this is the only thing you happen to have picked up from Smooth Traffic, join us next year when we'll be awarding some more random awards. And for those winners, get in touch and we'll send you a small trophy, which you probably won't want, but it will be extremely good value for money.
It will be very good value for money. And to be honest, I don't know when we'll send it to you. You know, just be patient. That's all I'll say. You'll get a trophy at some point. But, just enjoy the fact you've won a smoothie for now. I mean, how many people can say they've won a smoothie? Amazing. Amazing stuff.
So it's the start of October, and for the year of 2016, that means the Paris Motor Show. Chaps, what are you most looking forward to this year?
Well, some of the cars at the Paris Motor Show this year have been superb. And by superb, I mean they look superb because, 80% of them are concept cars and, we can't really judge them on concept because most of the time they never make production. But Renault's Tresor, that got my attention this morning, and I know it got Benny Pierce's attention this morning as well, which it takes something a bit unusual to get Ben's attention, and the Tresor is certainly unusual, but it looks really saucy for a Renault. I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah, it's so out of character, isn't it? It's got a really angry sort of front to the car. They've got a weird sort of textured sort of, what do you call it? It's almost a bumper, isn't it? It's that front section under the badge, which looks a bit different. It's sort of simple, I suppose. I think they've kept the same sort of patterning over the back of the car, just different, I suppose. I quite like that.
Yeah,
it's very sleek. The obviously the way you get in is a bit different as well. I'm not sure if that's good or not because you still have to sort of climb in. The roof basically lifts off, doesn't it? But it's kind of new and interesting. Shows what their designers are sort of working on at the moment, I suppose, in terms of futuristic looks. No idea what the what sort of under the bonnet, as it were.
Well, it's all electric, Ben.
Okay.
It's 350 horsepower and all electric, so something for you to go to sleep dreaming of at night. That texture thing at the front, it looks like it's swallowed a gum shield. It looks like it's been driving down the road and it's just gone thunk, straight into a gum shield. It is a bit of a weird look, but it looks really big in the pictures. It looks like a properly big car, like sort of covers most of one side of a American highway road in these pictures, and yeah, I like it. I really, really like it.
It does look like a muscle car, doesn't it? I think maybe that's what appeals.
A big electric coupe muscle car from the future, from France. Very strange. It's kind of there's a little bit of Bugatti in there. There's a little bit of Jaguar F-Type on the rear. A little bit of Maserati over the rear wheel. It just looks fantastic. I just would love to see a bit of that styling make it into some sort of production car, because obviously we're never going to see something like that made because, well, money. No one can afford to make a car like that because it just not going to happen. But I'd love to see sort of some of the styling cues in that just make it into sort of a new Renault sports car or something.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm still waiting for more hybrid sports cars to arrive on the market because, the BMW i8 came along and was a big success from what I understand. I don't know how much BMW made from that project, but it was a big success in terms of getting everyone's attention and, attracting people to the brand. And they look fantastic. People bought them. So it'd be nice to see other manufacturers come to the table now and offer some other hybrid sports cars, because the i8 was a really, really cracking start. And if Renault can do something similar like that, because they've got partnerships with Nissan and stuff, that could be really, really exciting. So yeah, well done, Renault. The Tresor, mad name, is looking really, really nice.
So what else has jumped out? I think again, all electric, the Mercedes Maybach 6, 750 brake horsepower apparently. I mean, again, this car has got a monstrous front end. Looks quite angry, quite stylish. I don't think I like it as much as the Renault, to be honest.
No.
If I'd seen it on its own, I'd think... Actually, from the front, I think it looks quite nice. The back just looks absurd. I'm not quite sure. I don't know what the styling is.
I think if you look at it from the side, the back looks quite good. It's sort of a continuous sweeping line. And side on it looks quite good. If anything, from the side, the front looks way too big.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you actually see the back from behind...
Like square on, yeah.
It's like we're back into the sort of 1920s or something.
I quite like that, though.
Except even more squashed, and You know, you're not really going to see anything out of those rear windows.
Oh, there's absolutely no point in them being there. You know, you might as well just have a camera at the back and a screen.
But then I suppose that is the way that things are probably going to go soon, isn't it? You know, we've got reversing cameras, so how long until... I mean, a lot of vans and lorries now use them, don't they? With sort of cameras to keep an eye on what's behind rather than just using them for reversing.
To be fair, yeah, your rear view mirror could just be a screen showing what the camera's pointing behind. I mean, that would work fairly well, I think.
It reminds me of one of my favourite films.
Power Rangers.
No.
One of your other favourite films.
One of my other favourite films, yeah. It reminds me of The Fifth Element. And I'm hoping you guys have seen that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's got a real Fifth Element vibe about it. I'm expecting to see Milo Jovovich sort of fall on the bonnet or something at any minute.
That'd be a good reason to buy one.
Oh, it bloody would. It's kind of got that sort of futuristic inner city, the world is now owned by corporations vibe to it, and that's going to appeal to people with millions and millions of pounds, because they're the only people who are going to be buying this. It does look absolutely gigantic. I don't know if electric's going to appeal to people with that much money. I think partly having that much money is about throwing as much of it away as possible. So, you know, pissing it away on giant V12 engines, pissing it away on tattoos, footballers, just pissing it away on garden ornaments, you know, that sort of thing. So I don't know if an electric...
like gnomes?
Yeah, like really, really posh gnomes. But I think... I think a lot of people would be put off a bit by just the fact that it's all electric. I think people would rather waste their money if they've got so much of it.
Buy two.
I mean, it's a valid point, John. But then, in this magical future where the Mercedes Maybach Corporation basically own everything, I presume we won't get a decision in whether we can have petrol. It's just whatever they push on us.
Possibly, yeah, possibly. You've made a good point there, and it's whatever the aliens want to flog us as well, I suppose.
Oh, you're just getting stupid now.
I just want to talk about The Fifth Element, really.
Yeah, but I mean, aliens aren't going to be interested in selling cars, are they?
How do you know?
Call it intuition.
Very well.
Moving on then.
Yeah, let's move on.
Moving on. I found a surprisingly nice car.
No, you didn't.
Well, different. Hyundai. Mr. King. I know you'd be a bit upset about this idea. The RN30.
I'm convinced you're being paid off by the Koreans.
I actually think it's quite... you know, I wouldn't want one necessarily, but again, they've gone for some sort of unusual styling, and I think that looks pretty cool. It's a, you know... Is it a track car? Not really. Hot hatch, possibly.
Well,
it's got a ridiculous back end.
I think that's a track car, because the Hyundai N brand is going to be the Hyundai sports brand moving forward. They've been talking about it for a couple of years, maybe even longer than that, and it's not happened yet. But Hyundai are going to come out with an N brand of sort of sporty cars, and I guess if it's got an R in front of its name, that would donate it possibly going to be a touring car or something like that. I don't like reading all of these articles on websites, you know. I like to just look at the name and the pictures and just imagine what it could be instead. So I think the Hyundai RN30 is going to be the world's fastest ice cream hatchback.
Once again, John, you've amazed the world with your
nonsense.
Yeah, that's
the thing is, nobody knows if it's nonsense yet. Nobody knows if you can sell ice cream in a Hyundai RN30 because it's not put into production yet. So let's wait and see. I'll tell you what, Hyundai, if you actually can manage to sell ice cream out of the back of this car, give me a call. We'll arrange something cool. I'll buy you dinner or something.
How very generous of you. Yeah, I mean, obviously we saw one of the N cars at Frankfurt last year, didn't we? If you recall, John.
Yeah, kind of.
It was basically done up in a similar livery, duck egg blue and orange bits everywhere. So really, it's nothing new, but it does look sporty, and I said it to you beforehand, Ben. It's got jazzy wheels. I like the jazzy wheels.
Just don't use the word jazzy, please. So moving on again.
Yeah, moving on.
This has been my last pick of interesting cars. You guarantee it's electric. Yeah, it's all electric. So the I was going to say BMW i3. It looks like it. The VW ID concept.
The i3 concept.
The ID concept.
Okay.
So VW reckon 250 to 370 miles on a charge, 168 brake horsepower engine. It looks a bit boring, really. I suppose it's actually just a sensible car. The other ones I've picked out haven't been. But do we like VW these days?
Well,
I say it looks like an i3, so that upsets me. But
I think from the VW perspective, I think they need to look into electric, don't they, really? Because you can't be flogging your dodgy diesel engines anymore.
But instead of lying about emissions, they'll just lie about the range. What's the range on this?
Well, I was going to say that range sounds
250 to 370, which is quite a lot for a small car.
25 to 37, then.
Yeah.
But I read that they're actually looking to put this into production. I mean, obviously not exactly like it is, because, well, there's just something not quite right about the wheels. But aren't they looking to get this into production within the next 5 years or something?
Yeah, I think something around 2020 they were saying was a target. And it'll be an autonomous vehicle a few years after that. Which is, apparently when they activate the autonomous mode, the steering wheel will retract into the dashboard. So,
That's
interesting.
That won't happen.
No. I would like to think that if I had an autonomous vehicle, or a vehicle capable of autonomy, I would still be able to retain some form of control over it. Because although it's obviously intended to sense everything around it, you still, I think, particularly if you sat in the driver's seat, even if you're not driving, I think you'd still want to know that if something's going wrong, you can anticipate it. Because obviously you can tell a computer what to expect, but the human experience of driving, you'd notice something that a computer possibly wouldn't if you kind of see where I'm going. You can see the look in someone's eyes rather than someone turning their body to cross the road. You can see someone, just turn their head to look, and you think, well, they're going to step out in front of me.
But didn't you know, King, Volkswagen have developed software that can predict the future? Apparently that's true. I'm not sure if it's actually going to work like that in real life, but apparently they can read the future and the world's going to end in 2020, which is lucky because this car will never get made.
No, that makes sense, John, that they can read the future. Because I'm guessing that the emissions testing figures that were getting churned out are actually emissions testing figures from their car in 4 years' time or 5 years' time. And that's why they were so much lower. Oh.
That is incredibly insightful, King. That's top research.
Thanks. I've done it right now.
This idea of the steering wheel retracting, though, I think in a way that's something that is needed for autonomous vehicles to be popular enough. Because if you've still got that sort of fallback of there's a steering wheel there, you're never going to trust the car. I think the only way you can properly trust it is if there isn't a way of you taking over. I mean, I think the technology needs to be at a position where it can be trusted, but I think even if the tech's brilliant and we stick a steering wheel there, people are never going to want to take their hands off it and relax, are they? So I think it needs to happen one day. I think 2025 is probably a bit soon, judging by the issues we've seen so far with automatic vehicles. But I don't know. I think comfortably in the next sort of 15, 20 years we'll be getting into cars without any form of control mechanism.
I hope not, because that is going to be so boring, isn't it?
I'd like to think there'll be a choice, i.e. you don't have to. You could buy a car that isn't fully autonomous, but there will be an awful lot that are.
I'll tell you what, if the world goes fully autonomous, I'll go to my grave.
I think it's a good chance of that, Johnny. Don't worry. And what an incentive.
Yeah.
I mean, let's think about this. I mean, the Volkswagen are looking to bring this out in 5 years, right? The BMW i3, which the Volkswagen i3 concept is definitely based on, is at least 5 years behind in that case, maybe a bit more. I don't see, why BMW couldn't make the i3 autonomous. And the i3 is about to receive an update as well, which is going to increase its range and other bits and bobs. It looks exactly like the i3. It's kind of going to be like the i3, but it's years behind. I can't understand that. And they've even called it the ID. It's like saying, if you say it quickly, it sounds like i3. Yeah, this is the BVW i3. It's ridiculous. If I was a BMW designer or board member or one of those people who has an important job, I would be calling my lawyer and I would be ringing up Volkswagen and trying to sue them if they've got any money left, because it's exactly the same.
I was going to say, they've probably tried, John, but you've got to remember that Volkswagen's legal department is probably so tied up.
That's true.
That BMW just can't get through.
Yeah, that's true. It's just endlessly. They're just endlessly on hold for the whole time. Yeah, you're probably right there, King. I might try and ring them up myself and
try it.
just see.
Tell us what the hold music is.
It's also a crap name, isn't it? ID.
Yeah, because
What do you drive? ID. What do you drive your driving license? What?
yeah, this is the thing. Because like the majority of Volkswagen's cars have zero personality as well. So to call it ID is, I don't like Volkswagen. Let's leave it at that.
Surprisingly non-sweary from you there, John. Excellent.
Anything else jump out at you then for the motor show?
There's a new Honda Civic Type R that's going to come out with the new Honda Civic, which looks quite good. There should be sort of an evolution on the Honda Civic Type R that we've had for about 5 minutes. So I don't know where this one's...
Which you're a big fan of, aren't you?
Oh, I love it. I love it. It made me drive like an absolute pillock. And I'm not sure that's a good thing or a bad thing. But it got under my skin big time, and it's capable of serious performance. So hopefully the new one will be the same. The new one actually looks a bit better than the current one, I think. Hopefully there's a bit less, should we say, wingy nonsense on it. There's a little bit less Tokyo Midnight Blast and hopefully a little bit more normal. But yeah, it looks really, really good.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Would you not say that the Civic is almost going back a stage in some aspects, though, John, in terms of styling? And I mean that in a good way, because I think that the last Civic, and as you say, particularly the Type R, you know, there was too much wingy nonsense, if you will. But just generally, the styling was edgy, but it was almost that they'd kind of just taken it a little too far. Whereas this is now bringing it back to a more aesthetically pleasing style.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, you know, everyone likes a bit of edgy styling, and you know that's how things progress. But I almost feel that Honda have got to a point where they've gone, actually, maybe we took it just half a step too far. If we just dial it down a little bit, job done.
I think the last Type R was what happens if you give a load of LSD to a bunch of manga fans and get them to design a car.
I just thought they let children do it.
Because, I mean, yeah, or children. I suppose they've got a lot in common with LSD taking manga fans. But yeah, it was just too wild. But the last Civic in general was a bit of a stupid design car anyway, with a split dash, split rear windscreen thing. It was all a bit weird, but I still quite like it. But I think this one is better. But yeah, I know what you're saying. It is a bit of a step backwards in a way.
But in a good way.
Yeah, but in a good way. Yeah, I'm not against that at all. King, did you happen to see the Alfa Romeo Giulia Veloce that's been shown off in Paris this week?
It's very blue.
Yes.
I like it very much.
Good.
I mean, I don't know what more I can say about it, really, John. You know, I think we've probably covered the Giulia far more than anyone wants to hear any more about. Coincidentally, just this day in the post, Alfa Romeo have sent me a brochure for the Giulia, complete with pricing.
Okay.
Now, let's play a fun little game.
Oh dear.
The base model Giulia with a 2-litre petrol engine. What price?
28 grand.
£26,445 and 15 pence.
I mean, I love your specifics there, John, but it's actually Ben who is the closest.
Yeah.
The base model comes in at 29,180.
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Well, bear with me. If you want to step up and get the Giulia Super specification,
32,000.
34.5.
no, the Super for the same 2-litre petrol is £1,700 more than the base model.
Yeah.
So just under 31,000. Then we come on to the Speciale edition.
Bloody hell.
Now, we won't play the guessing game because that only comes in diesel, and that one is £34,000.
How can they call it Speciale if it's got a diesel engine? Madness.
Well, I mean, my main issue is that all of the ones available to the UK market appear to be automatic. There doesn't appear to be a manual available.
Ah, that's disgusting.
Yeah, true. But I mean, Alfa's excuse, well, they're just full of excuses. I mean, Fiat Chrysler Automatic Supergroup is full of excuses because they said they can't engineer a manual gearbox for the left-hand drive market. Bollocks. They can engineer 500 horsepower engines. They can engineer really saucy design, styling, super stuff, fancy suspensions, but they can't put a manual gearbox in the other way round. Stupid. Absolute bollocks. And also, you know, I was driving the new Fiat Tipo the other day in Wales. They've given it a 5-inch touchscreen that's got about the same resolution as a cave drawing. And it's in a piece of dashboard that's been obviously designed to take a much larger touchscreen. So why haven't they put a much larger touchscreen in? Because they can't get it to fit in a left-hand drive version. They can't engineer it for the left hand. It's the same excuse again.
Have they actually said that?
They've actually said that, yeah, and it's bollocks.
5 inches is tiny,
5
isn't it,
inches
really?
is smaller than my Samsung Galaxy smartphone. It's ridiculous. It's inexcusable.
That size, low resolution, is just... You just wouldn't be able to use it, would you?
It's appalling. It is honestly appalling. It looks like a smartphone from about 10 years ago. And the sat-nav works fine, but it looks ridiculous in this dash, which has been designed to have a larger touchscreen in it, which the European market is going to get. But because we're left-hand drive, or right-hand drive... Wait, which side do we drive on? Because we drive on a
Jesus
different
Christ.
side to the European persons, we're not allowed to have a larger touchscreen because they can't engineer it. It's just absolute lies. They don't want to do it because they can't be bothered. I really don't understand it. To be honest, King, I'm surprised you've got a Julia price list. You're lucky, because I don't think we're ever going to see the Julia in Britain. I just don't. Nobody seems to know when it's arriving. We seem to have been talking about the Julia for about 10 years, and I haven't seen one on the road yet. Or we don't know when one's coming in the showroom. We don't know when one's going to be on the press fleet. Sometime next year, Alpha said to me recently. Sometime next year. That's very helpful, considering the whole of next year is ahead of us. Ridiculous. I get really pissed off with Italian car companies and their stupid excuses for not doing something better. Every other car manufacturer on the planet is trying to improve themselves and trying to do something better. And then they do things like put in a 5-inch touchscreen with a resolution that's 10 years out of date because they can't put a larger touchscreen in. How much does it even cost to put a larger touchscreen in a car? Honestly, it's going to cost a few quid probably in this day and age with all the screens and technology. If I can have a telly for 180 quid that's got 32 inches of HD, unbelievable. Unbelievable. I've taken this away from Paris now and about my own disgust at Fiat Alpha Chrysler Super Group. Mad. Well, have we actually finished the whole of this motor show segment now?
Yeah, we finished the motor show. By the time people have finished listening to this, the motor show has probably actually ended as well. So thanks for listening, everyone, and safe trip home.
Thanks. We'll have a nice one and try and avoid service stations in Belgium if you can. Would you go back through Belgium? No, you wouldn't, would you? Just drive somewhere nice. That's my tip.
So as you all know, we've been trying various racing games recently. We're quite big fans of Forza, and as we quite like that game, we thought we'd try Forza Horizon 3, which has just come out. Downloaded the demo, took it for a bit of a spin. What were your first impressions, chaps?
It's very pretty.
It is very pretty. Yeah, I think me and King have differing opinions on this, don't we?
I don't think they're as different as you think, John.
No? Are you kind of with me on this?
Yeah, I think I agree with you in principle about your opinions on the style of game.
Okay.
But let's focus on the positives first.
Fair enough.
Another fantastic high-def resolution game. Lots of beautifully recreated Australian locations. Beautifully recreated cars. And, just lots of things to run over. Trees, fences.
Kangaroos?
I didn't see any wildlife.
That's a shame. That bumps down the game rating a bit as well then. Ben, didn't you say this was the first game that was going to be made available in DVR HD 4K Super Def or something?
I think it might be HDR compatible, yeah, so it should look a bit nicer if you've got a compatible TV, obviously, which I didn't have.
What does that mean for people like me? Because when you said it was HDR compatible, I kind of just nodded and went, yes, Ben. Yeah, that's great. Technology.
What it means for people like you, Johnny, is just don't worry about it. Just assume it will look nice.
Okay, so it looks nicer than normal.
Only if you've got a better TV than you have. So it will just look the same on yours.
Okay. Well, that's helpful advice for anyone listening who knows about technology. I hope you all enjoyed that. But no, it plays very well. The cars drive quite well. It's fun, I suppose.
It's the least convinced I've ever heard anyone saying something was fun.
It was fun, but I think I'd get bored of it after about an hour.
Because...
Well, I didn't want to lay into it too soon in case, you were planning on saying more good things about it, King.
No, I mean, I I completely agree with what you're going to say. I think it's a type of game that, for the casual gamer or someone who doesn't particularly enjoy racing games, serious racing games, I would say that it will be very popular, and it's a nice entry into racing style of games, because it's not just about racing. It's it's a whole world sort of environment that you're thrown into.
It is very good to just sort of pick up,
Yeah,
ask about a bit, try do a bit, challenge a few people.
in a similar way to sort of Grand Theft Auto, that kind of thing,
Yeah.
where you can just sort of pick it up, go for a drive around, just break some stuff, and then just put it down again.
But as you say, it's not designed to be a serious racing simulator. I don't think it's just not quite. Yeah, that's what Forza is about, not Forza Horizon, I suppose.
And I think that's why it's, in many ways, that's why it's quite a good game, because obviously, potentially, they've probably looked at it and thought, if we can get people into racing games through Forza Horizon, that might then get them into the sort of regular Forza series.
Yeah.
And then obviously sort of snowball into more serious racing games from there, really.
See, I don't think it's a very good game. I don't think it's a very good game because it seems to sort of lack much of a point, and nothing feels particularly real in that game. Like, the car doesn't drive particularly realistically. The places that you go are very pretty, but they aren't really. They feel empty, because obviously when you're driving around the streets and stuff, there's nobody out walking around. There's nothing happening. It's just an empty town or an empty street. It feels weird, really, really weird. And also, the roads that they've got for this fake Australia, all the roads, nobody sees roads like that in real life. Roads like that don't really exist. So I didn't really feel like I was enjoying it, because at the same, if I'm going to drive on the streets, I want to feel like I'm driving around the streets at like maximum breakneck speed, and I'm taking like street corners really, really well, and I'm clipping pavements and knocking someone's bins over, scaring some kangaroos into the sea. If I could do things like that, I'd enjoy it more. But it just feels really sterile and quite boring, actually. It was. I think after an hour, I think I would put it back down and maybe never pick it up again. I don't really get it, and there's a load of stupid characters in it as well, which doesn't help. Deeply unlikable characters. That person in the helicopter, that Australian bloke, I don't know. I didn't like him anyway, but I didn't like much about it, to be honest. I don't get it. I just don't get what all the fuss is about. So
I don't think it's aimed at yourself, though. I think as you say, those characters. It probably means that it's aimed more at a younger audience, so it gives them something to.
Yeah,
it's almost like a story to play, isn't it? I think. But still, I mean, I think it's a fairly good game, as we sort of said, for a casual gamer. But it's definitely not a racing simulator, is it? I think we can agree on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't realise that your opinions on it were quite as strong as that, John. So maybe we're not in full agreement. But I don't think it's a bad game.
Why don't we give it marks out of 10? Maybe we can start this as a new Smooth Traffic thing. Like, we'll play a racing game, and we'll give it marks out of 10. And maybe in some distant future we'll have lots of ratings to help people buy a racing game.
Are we going to set a benchmark with Forza 6?
Okay. Forza 6, standard Forza 6. I would give that an 8 out of 10.
I would also give it 8 out of 10. Ben Pierce? And B, I want you to apply the same logic that Xbox Magazine applied, Ben.
I forget what.
Well, it was just that obviously you were praising Xbox Magazine the other day because they don't rate games based on, this is going to sound stupid, but they don't rate games based on how good they are for that genre's fans. They base it on how good it is for Joe Bloggs, who picks up console and starts playing. So obviously, Johnny and I have probably got slightly skewed views on the game because it's the kind of games that we play.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10 personally for me, Forza 6.
Okay.
Just because I actually prefer the Horizon attitude of drive around the bigger areas and not be confined to the track.
Okay, there we go. So we've got a baseline of 8, 16, 23 out of 30 for Forza 6. So, Forza Horizon 3. Ben, I'll let you go first on this one.
So I'm still going to go 7 out of 10 again.
Okay.
More my cup of tea, but as Johnny was saying, it just doesn't feel like it's got that, I don't know, you're not feeling like you're actually controlling the car as well. There's something slightly lacking about the environment or the handling or something. but it's still good fun. And to pick up and have a quick game of, I think it's pretty good for that.
Okay. Jonathan?
3.
3 out of 10. Okay.
3 because it's all graphics and no substance.
Okay. Personally, I would give it 6 out of 10. Similar feelings to you, John, although, as I say, probably not quite as extreme. Anyway, so that's 16 out of 30 for Forza 6. No, Forza Horizon 3, sorry.
So it's a pretty poor game then.
That is an average game, I would say, John.
Bang average.
Average. It's average just over 5 out of 10 from each of us. So there we go. So
all right then.
An average game.
Average game. Fair enough. Forza 6, good game. Forza Horizon 3, bang average. Well, it was the end of September, and something happened. That something was the SMMT Test Day South. And unfortunately, I couldn't make it, but luckily, Smooth Traffic's Robert King could. Rob, how was SMMT South 2016?
It was fantastic, Jonathan. One of the best days I've had in quite some time. Definitely up there with the National Test Day back in May, for my money. Trundled down to Oakley Hall, which is in Hampshire. Beautiful setting, lovely roads in the near vicinity. Good opportunity to just test a range of cars. And that is exactly what I did, in a surprisingly professional manner. I tried to test cars that were predominantly comparable with one another, so that we could do something, generally journalistic, if I can describe it in that manner.
So what did you drive, King? I mean, what did you start with? Because obviously at the National Day we started with a bang, a big bad Bentley.
We did, and I thought, you know what, I've got to go hell for leather straight off the bat. So I drove the Dacia Duster, which was
disgusting.
An experience.
Yeah, you see, Ben, this is why Rob needs me to go with him to these events, so we can choose good things.
What were you doing picking a Duster? A horrible car.
Well, I see a lot of them around, Ben, and I thought, I just want to know what all the fuss is about, really.
When I was in France earlier in the year, rural village in France, and there were Dusters everywhere. It was like every third car was a Duster. It was disgusting. I was sick everywhere. Oh.
It's because they're
very cheap.
Well, they're very cheap, but also they're all based on Renault chassis.
Okay.
So basically every village in France, if there is a garage in the village, it will be Renault approved garage.
Up until you said Renault chassis, you could have easily been talking about prostitutes, because you'd seen them everywhere, you just wanted to find out what it was all about, and in France there's loads of them. Until you said Renault chassis, it could have easily have been prostitutes. Just something I noticed. Carry on.
Thank you for your insight, Jonathan. And this is one of the many reasons that I'm glad John wasn't there with me.
Yeah.
Anyway, so starting price for the Dacia Duster, 12,895.
Really?
The one that I tested was actually worth just under 14,500. The Duster Laureate, it was the 4x2 edition, petrol engine, and it felt like under £15,000 worth of car. Let's put it that way.
You get a lot of metal, don't you?
Yeah, I've got no problem with it. It was, it was a reasonably good performer. Did everything I needed it to. It didn't inspire me, I would say. Considering it's one of these sort of crossover jobbies.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think it feels like old technology, and actually Renault and Dacia have been very clever in offering old technology for almost new car money, and they're probably making quite a lot of money out of it, I reckon.
Oh, very much so. And I think that's the key to it, John. It is basically, a Renault from sort of 5 or 6 years ago. So fair play to them. They're they've got to make their money somehow, haven't they? True.
I completely agree. So, what did you drive after the incredibly bland Dacia Duster?
Well, after that, I thought the day needed a bit of spicing up, and one little car had been sat in the parking area and hadn't moved since I'd got there. So I thought, thinking back to our fun in the Fiat 500C back in May, John, I thought, why not take out the Smart for 2 Cabriolet?
Yeah. Ben, any views on that?
Again, this is why you need to go with him.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Carry on, King.
Well, I mean, I disagree. It was decidedly average compared to the Fiat 500C. It feels small. It is small. There's no room in the boot.
Ugly.
You can get 2 people in it. It's not a looker. I took the roof down, and by down I mean it slides back. It was kind of a grey day at that point, so I put the roof back across again. All in all, average.
I've driven in a smart convertible, as it were.
Have you?
And it was just dreadful. Because it was a fantastically hot day earlier in the year. I was a passenger in the car, someone came to pick me up, and I thought, oh good, convertible. There's no aircon, but at least the roof's down. All it did was mess up my hair, because it just blows over the top of your head.
Yeah.
And it doesn't chill you at all. You just collect flies in your forehead. It's just rubbish. And it's just so plastic and nasty inside. Didn't like it.
I don't like the way it looks. I've never been near one, but I don't like the way it looks. I don't like the name Smart, and I don't ever want to have to go in one, to be quite honest.
I really don't see any benefit into how... I mean, alright, there's the tiny car parks and tiny spaces bit, I get, but there's just so much wrong with it. Could never need one of those.
Yeah.
I don't want to get in another one. Let's put it that way.
Fiat 500C is the way to go.
Yes, it is.
Right, what next, King?
Moving on swiftly then. The Range Rover Evoque was what I got in next.
Ugh.
I love Evoques.
Now let me tell you that before I drove this, I'm not a huge fan of the rear styling of the Evoque. I've always said that it feels like someone sat on the back of a Freelander and just squashed it.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Not been
I
a
hate the Evoque.
massive fan. And Ben obviously agrees with that because he dislikes it a little bit. But I can honestly say the driving experience in it, fantastic. Could not fault it.
Yeah.
In all honesty, I'm sure that people will have qualms with it, but no, it did everything I asked of it. Really, it's so easy to drive. It doesn't take any effort at all. You just kind of point it and it goes. I mean, admittedly, it was just over 57,000. The version that I drove does feel like a lot of money for what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
But it does have new Land Rover smell, and that for me is just something that you can't put a price on.
You suck.
I know that sounds stupid, but
It does.
I remember growing up, because Mum works in a Land Rover dealership, and growing up, if she had to work on a Saturday morning, sort of took me into work with her. I'd obviously go and sit in the cars and whatnot, and there's just something about new Land Rover smell that isn't the same as general new car smell, and I don't know how to describe it, but it's something that they do, which I haven't found another manufacturer that can make that same new car smell.
Is it like a mixture of Wellington boots and pipes?
I couldn't even begin to describe it, John. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a nostalgic thing, memories of my childhood or something like that.
So you think buy the Range Rover Evoque
For the smell?
for the smell?
No, God no. Not for 57,000. Give it sort of 6 years or so,
Yeah.
when they've replaced it with some horrendous Discovery-like thing, and you'll probably get one for about 30 grand, and then bang,
Then you're away.
job done.
That's a good call, actually. I think buying Evoque second hand is a good idea. The Land Rover approved used system. I think that's a good way to go. Yeah, very, very nice car. Lovely to drive. Lovely quiet diesel engines. Really slick automatic gearboxes. Lovely interior design. It looks cool. Sorry, Ben, it does. Yeah, great car. Ben needs to drive in one so he can tell us that we're right.
Nah.
Anyway, having hopped out of the Evoque, there were quite a few pickups at the SMMT South Day, so I thought, why not try a pickup? I've never driven one before. Maybe it'll be fun. Who knows? So I stumbled upon the SsangYong Musso,
Strawberry Musso.
which is a big lump of a vehicle, incredibly reasonably priced, incredibly pleasant to drive. For my first outing in a pickup truck, I was pleasantly surprised. It kind of drove like a car. The PR chap there that I spoke to, he said that the suspension is all set up so that it's set up to drive more like a car than a pickup. Now, obviously, having not driven a pickup, I thought, yep, okay. Would I be able to tell the difference? But it did drive like a car, and for the price, yeah, very happy.
How much was it?
It was, I have just misplaced the price.
Smooth traffic, everyone.
Not smooth in every way.
Ben, do you want to guess? I reckon £9.50. It's a SsangYong.
What, like 18 grand?
The model ranges from just under 16 to just under 19,000.
Okay.
Which, for a pickup truck, I'm told, is incredibly competitive.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all.
Yeah, you enjoyed it then. Did you pick up any women? Did you feel more manly driving it, wearing it?
I must admit, I did feel quite manly in terms of it made you feel a little bit of what you see in American films when people are driving along in a pickup. I kind of felt that I could just, if anyone got in my way, it would be fine. I could just drive over them.
Did you go to Wix?
I didn't go to Wix, no.
Oh, I wish you had.
But it does have, and this is the one thing that they were very keen to stress, it does have a 1-ton payload capacity.
Ooh.
The load bed on the back is sized so that it can carry a Euro pallet, which, if you're in some form of building industry, I'm sure that means a lot more to you than it does to us. But obviously, I think that says a lot about the way SsangYong have targeted the vehicle. They've built it to suit a European pallet. They've been quite smart about their target audience, as it were.
Most importantly, King, with the SsangYong Musso pickup truck, did you manage to drift it?
Did I manage to drift it?
Yes.
I mean, it wasn't something that was in my mind. I wasn't thinking I've got to try and drift this. Funnily enough,
No. The first car I ever drifted was a Mitsubishi L200.
were you in a field?
No, I was on a round piece of tarmac that was very wet and designed for drifting. Actually,
Moving on, what was next, Key?
So after the Musso, I then dialed it down a bit.
You drove a Jag, didn't you?
You ruined it now.
Sorry.
I dialed it down by taking a Jag F-Type out for a spin. The F-Type R convertible. V8 supercharged.
Was it as nice as the Smart convertible?
Oh, it was better than the Smart convertible, if you can believe that, Ben. Far and away, it was the best car that I drove all day. The noise alone is enough. I could have just sat there for the 30 minutes that I had it, just with the engine going. Obviously, John's a bit jealous because have you driven the V8 supercharged F-Type?
no, I haven't, but it's not the one I'd buy, so I don't really need to drive it.
Well, how do you know if you haven't driven it?
Because it's not really the engine that you need in the F-Type.
Let's not get bogged down in this. It's an absolute delight. Best car I drove all day. Best car I've driven at an SMMT day, bar the Bentley.
Cool. That's fair.
I preferred that to the Audi R8 V10 Plus. Yes.
Did you? That's interesting.
Call me out on that if you will. I don't know, there was just something more... I mean, we talked a lot about the R8 being idiot-proof,
Yes. Yeah.
but the Jag just feels more raw. You feel like... Although, most cars these days are fairly idiot-proof, you do feel like if you just got out of shape a bit, you might end up in a tree. And it's that, it's that living on the edge thing that just puts it ahead for me.
That's fair enough, King, but you're definitely out of shape, so how come you didn't end up in a tree?
My weight issues are irrelevant to this conversation, John.
That was before he ate his XL Viennetta.
Oh, yeah.
XXL Viennetta. Yeah, check it out on YouTube. Less than 30 minutes. So yeah, F-Type. Absolute delight. I definitely have one. I got out, massive grin on my face. Couldn't stop smiling. It was just a pleasure to drive.
My tip would be get the V6.
Maybe. I'll have to try the V6 and see, John.
Yep.
But there, got out of the F-Type and thought, what can possibly top that? So I had lunch, which was very pleasant. So then I wandered over to the lovely people at Nissan because I thought, time to compare the Musso to something. So I took out the Nissan Navara. Genuinely unimpressed.
Yeah. So why unimpressed with that, which is meant to be a more luxurious offering than the Musso, the strawberry Musso?
In all honesty, I don't know. It just didn't feel as... There was something very basic about the Musso that I liked. And I think, again, it was that sort of idea from, as I say, movies where you see people driving around in the battered old pickups and, you think about the Toyota Hilux and things like that. They just keep going for years and years and years.
Survivors.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas in the Navara, everything was, very plush and comfortable. And don't get me wrong, of course you want that. But it just wasn't... It wasn't the Musso, which sounds ridiculous. It's 10 grand more. 10 grand more for the Navara.
That's a lot of money.
It is.
That's a lot of money. It strikes me as the Navara strikes me as the pickup for the dads with tats. Dads who want to look like they do extreme sports, but actually they don't. They're just idiots. Whereas the Musso would be more likely to be put to use doing something, useful. I think the MP300 is going to be a bit more of a poser's pickup, should we say?
I can certainly see where you're coming from. I mean, comparably, The Navara's got a 2.3 litre engine. The Muso's got a 2.2. You know, comparable size, comparable engine, probably comparable fuel economy. Top speed, 112 miles per hour for the Navara.
Wow.
Would you like to guess the top speed of the Muso?
116.
119.
Wow.
Yeah. So if somehow you can get it up to triple digits, you might even get it to 119 mile an hour.
Who'd have thought the Lemon Muso would do 119 mile an hour?
Well, exactly. The Muso also has a tighter turning circle than the Navara,
Handy.
which I imagine if you're lugging stuff around, that's probably very important.
So it's easier to turn around in the chocolate Muso. That's good to know.
Yeah, just over 11 metre turning circle, whereas the Navara comes in just shy of 12.5 metres. Probably important, as I say, but, you know, anyone who's looking for consumer advice, this is the bit that's probably relevant to you. So thanks for listening.
I'm falling asleep.
Yep. So moving on, I jumped out of the Navara and into the MG GS, which is the new MG crossover SUV thing.
Yeah, the Chinese MG.
Yeah, that's kind of sweeping the nation or sweeping the world. I don't know, whatever. It's got generally decent reviews across the board. I found it to be very pleasant. It handles very well. The one I drove had a manual gearbox, which I thought was it was a very tight gearbox. You'd have enjoyed it actually, John.
Yeah?
It was. It was streaks ahead of that Seat that we drove that time.
Oof, yeah. Oof. Ugh.
Really good gearbox. Steering was really tight. You know, and it drove like a car, which is obviously what we said about the Honda HR-V many months ago.
It's kind of our crossover SUV cliche, isn't it?
But I think it's the biggest compliment that you can pay
Yeah.
an SUV. It drives like a car. You know, if it drives like a car, then idiots can drive it, basically.
Yeah, like Ben.
Precisely.
All right.
Precisely. Just checking you're still awake, Ben.
Just.
Yeah, Ben, you filthy train dweller.
Now, most importantly, the GS came with a DAB radio, so I could listen to Absolute 80s whilst having the time of my life.
I love Absolute 80s.
Oh, don't worry, it'll get better. Just hold your horses, John. So yeah, all in all, MG GS, I would definitely recommend it. If someone was looking for a low-end price car, SUV even, I would recommend the GS. However, it doesn't compare to the Dacia for pricing. The GS starts at just under 15 grand, which is about the same as the Duster that I actually drove.
You know what? I'd actually say Dacia is a more desirable brand than MG.
Oh, there's no disagreement with that. I think MG are trying to rebuild a brand which obviously has suffered
Toxic.
incredibly. Yeah, the top end GS, 21 grand.
Ooh.
If you're spending 21,000 on that, just buy a Muso.
Yeah, buy a chocolate Muso. Definitely.
Well worth it. But that wasn't the end of the day. I had one more car to drive.
Was it your car?
I had two more cars to drive. Before I got into mine to head back to Bath, I drove the Volkswagen Up Beats Edition.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So it's the classic Up, which is delightful, but it comes with the Beats sound system.
Dr. DRE designed that, didn't he?
Dr. DRE did design that. I believe it's pronounced Dr. E.
Oh, okay. Thanks. I was wondering.
Anyway, yes, he was involved in the Beats stuff. Although I'm reliably informed that that's now an Apple brand. So,
It is.
So toxic. Boo!
Boom.
But, you know, enough bad-mouthing. The Up was a delight to drive as ever. Nothing's really changed. It's just got this 300-watt Beats sound system in it.
If Dr. E designed the Beats audio system, isn't it 300? What?
Wow. You're absolutely right, John.
Yes. I'm street.
What's the standard price for the Up? Just under 10?
Yeah, just under 10, something like that.
So the Beats Up is available for 11,500.
Ooh.
The one I drove was just shy of 12,500.
Okay.
You know, as I say, the Up was fantastic to drive as you'd expect. Decent boot space. I could definitely get in that. And, well, I just drove along with Absolute 80s blaring out of the
Oh, what a dream.
Hot Beats sound system.
Because, I mean, if you're in the market for an Up and you want a stereo upgrade, a strong stereo upgrade, that's surely the model to go for.
Or you could get, I don't know, a Pioneer or a Kenwood or Blaupunkt, any of the normal brands that aren't affiliated to Apple. It was a good sound system. I've got no issue with it. It didn't set me on fire, but maybe you could blame Absolute 80s, because maybe the playlist wasn't too good.
No, we can't.
No, we can't, because
No,
that's rubbish.
That's rubbish.
No, it was good bass. I don't really know what more to say about it. It happened.
Great. Top review, King. Top review.
The main thing was buy an Up if you've got less than 10 grand to spend.
Yeah, buy an Up and just enjoy it, because it's a cracking little car. And Dr. E, if you're out there and you'd like to sponsor this podcast, please do give us some word ups on the tweet, Magadget, and give us a shout out to all of your homies and players. Thank you very much.
So incredibly down with it, Johnny Edge.
Word player.
So that was SMMT South.
Cool. So while you were at SMMT South 2016 edition, King, I went to Snowdonia, which is why I couldn't join you, because I drove the new Fiat Tipo and the new Fiat 124 Spider. Ooh. And the Tipo, not very impressive, but it's very, very cheap. Starts at around £12,500, £13,000, I think. I wasn't paying attention because it's such a boring car. I fell asleep even in the presentation. Terrible satellite navigation screen system. That is 5 inches of pure nothingness as far as I'm concerned. It works, and that's about the nicest thing you can say about it. The car feels like it can handle a more powerful engine, which is nice. We only drove the diesel, the top spec diesel on the day, and it was fine. It's just a car. It's just a lump of car, and that's about the nicest thing to say about it, really. It's an easy, average car. If you've not got much money, the Tipo is a stylish hatchback you can possibly look at getting. It's got space, it's got seats, it's got a steering wheel, and it goes forward and backwards. So well worth looking into if you're in the market for one of those car things. But much more interestingly was the Fiat 124 Spider, the Italian sauce pot version of the Mazda MX-5. And goodness me, is that a good car. One of the very best handling and best riding small cars I've ever driven. Brilliant around Snowdonia, so comfortable, incredibly stylish. When it first came out, I said it looked like a pissed up, what did I say? It was like a pissed up Chrysler Crossfire, but actually it looks far better in the metal. It's got little curves in all the right places, it's got nice headlights, it's got little 124 badges on it, and it's really good. It's very stylish, looks great in red as well. I'll post some pictures on Twitter at some point. Really recommend that. It can handle corners so well, but it's so light. It's only just over a ton. And it's got a Fiat engine in it, so it's different to the MX-5, which, as I understand, you need to rev a bit more to get the power out of. But because the Fiat 1.4 turbo is a little bit more torquey lower down, you can just cruise around in it and enjoy. At one point, we got onto like this high point in Snowdonia, and instead of gunning it like an idiot, like I normally do, I just slowed down and enjoyed the scenery and enjoyed the view. And I think that is what makes this car quite special. It makes you appreciate the environment around you, not just the actual experience of driving the car. Not many sports cars do that because they engross you so much in driving. Sometimes you neglect to enjoy the environment a bit. So Fiat, I really applaud that. It's a very Italian way of being, because the Italians like their good food, their good wine, the style, the boobs. They like other things in life. They can appreciate more things, and that's what the Fiat 124 Spider gives you. So I would give that car a very high score. I'm absolutely in love with it, and top spec. Just buy the top spec one. Don't bother with the lesser spec ones. Treat yourself. Buy yourself the top spec one and spend about £23,000. You'll trust me. You'll really enjoy it, and come and thank me when you've got one as well, because it's a very good car. Also, MX-5 owners who are hating on the 124 Spider because it's taken my beautiful MX-5 parts and turned it into something else. Shut up. It's a great car. Your car is good as well, but this one is just as good. So don't get all pissy about the 124 Spider just because you're MX-5 fanboys. Mugs. That's it. The full-time whistle has gone on episode 22 of Smooth Traffic. It's been one of our longest yet. So let's all give ourselves a pat on the back. Even you, the listener. Well done. You've come this far. I'm impressed. Join us for, episode 23 at some point. But in the next episode, I will be talking a little bit about the Caterham 310, the new model from Caterham, which I will be taking out very, very soon. I'm going to take it somewhere nice so we can really enjoy it. So get in touch if you've got any questions about how the 420 compares to the 310. And yeah, I'll see what I can do for you. But until next time, don't forget to tweet us at Smooth Traffic, the #1 Twitter account from Smooth Traffic. There's also at me, the Johnny Edge, at Robert King, ESQ, and at the Face of Ben if you want some sort of entertainment from someone who likes technology more than cars. Maybe that's you. But yes, thank you ever so much for always listening, enjoying, and yeah, we will catch you at some point in the future. Ciao for now.